Hi, and welcome to Town & Country TV. I'm your host, Mitchell Watts, and today we're going to pit this Ford F-150 Raptor up against the FX4. We're going to take a look at all the different options and tell you exactly what you get for your money when you compare the two trucks. First up, let's take a look at some of the things that both of these trucks share together. They both have four-wheel drive, they both have a locking rear differential setup, they both have a backup camera, they both happen to have tuxedo black as a paint scheme, and they're both very capable off-roading vehicles. Now, some of the differences that you'll see between the two, first off is the Ford Raptor. You'll notice this vehicle does have a front view camera when you're in four-wheel low, which is the class exclusive on the F-150. It's really nice and not available on the FX4. You'll notice that the front ends are a little bit different, but those are some of the obvious things. What I want to focus on today are some of the differences. Now, you'll notice that the FX4 does come with a lot of different available options and equipment. The Raptor is pretty much limited. It has a 4:10 gear ratio in the front and the rear, and that's all you can get. You do have the BF Goodrich tires, and that's all you can get. In the FX4, you do have a couple of different wheel choices, as you can see on the screen right here. You'll also notice that the rear ends, you have much more options when it comes to rear ends. You have everything from a 355 all the way to a 410, whatever you want, and even some more. Some of the main differences you'll see in these trucks are towing capacity. For instance, the Raptor has up to 8,000 pounds of trailer tow, which is pretty limited, but considering the amount of suspension travel this truck allows, it's not bad. Whereas you have the FX4 has up to 11,300 pounds with the max trailer tow package. Next up, let's talk engines. The FX4 has a lot of different capabilities when it comes to engines. For this body style, as you pop the hood, you'll see this particular vehicle is equipped with the 3.5 liter V6 EcoBoost. You have lots of different options when it comes to the FX4. You can get the 5.0, the 3.5, and you can get the 6.2 liter V8, which happens to be the same engine that is equipped in the Raptor. As you can see, the 6.2 liter V8 is the only engine that you can have in the Raptor. Let's take a look at the tires and the suspension travel. First thing you'll notice, the Raptor has 11.2 inches of real wheel travel in the front and 12.1 in the rear, which is fantastic for a production vehicle. The FX4 wheel suspension travel is pretty limited, but you'll notice you do have a much more street-friendly tire available in the FX4. The base price of the F-150 FX4 is $41,980. This vehicle, as it's equipped, is $51,050, which is actually pretty close to the $54,834 that comes on the F-150 SVT Raptor. Now, keep in mind, this truck does happen to have rebates. Right now, you can get plenty of rebates, which makes this vehicle much more affordable than the Raptor for just a little bit of sacrifice on some of the wheel suspension and travel. The FX4 does have an EcoBoost engine, which allows it to get 21 miles per gallon on the highway. When you compare that to the 6.2 in the Raptor that gets only 16 miles per gallon, it's yet another reason that you want to consider the FX4 when you're also looking at the Raptors. When you're considering the FX4 versus the Raptor, you need to think about bed length. If you're going to be doing a lot of working out of this truck, you need to realize that this is a 5.5-foot bed, and this is the only bed length that's available in the Raptor. Whereas in the FX4, you have the ability to go with a 5.5 or even a 6.5 bed if that is what you're looking for your business or towing capabilities. Now, keep in mind, the Raptor is primarily an off-road ready vehicle that you can drive on the street every day. So what you're going to have here is a whole lot more ground clearance than compared to the FX4. Take a look that this vehicle actually is pretty wide open on the front bumper, and it includes a heavy-duty skid plate, whereas in place of the skid plate, the FX4 by default has this plastic flimsy thing to help with aerodynamics. It does help with your fuel mileage and aerodynamics, but it doesn't do much for your approach angle. You can also get some skid plates on the FX4, but as you can see, this one is much more heavy-duty than the FX4. The Raptor weighs 6,200 pounds, which is 800 pounds more than the FX4. When you're looking at the Raptor, you need to make sure that you realize the suspension setups are completely different. You'll notice this does have the heavy-duty long travel suspension system set up by SVT and Fox Racing shocks. Two things to notice about the Ford F-150 comparing the Raptor versus the FX4 are the front ends. You'll notice they're completely different. Different hoods, different front grills. You'll also notice different bumpers. The FX4 happens to have fog lamps, where that's not an option on the Raptor. But what you do have on the Raptor is you actually have a big hole, gaping hole in the front end of the truck. Now, a lot of people have wondered why. Why does Ford put this hole right there? And the Ford engineers told us is because they spent so much money on the suspension that they want to be able to show it off to everybody that can see the truck, that can walk around it. So some pretty neat stuff there. Something you need to know about these two different trucks, this F-150 is the same width as all the other F-150s. The Lariats, the FX4, the XLT, they're all the exact same width. Now, the Raptor is actually 7 inches wider than a typical F-150, and the reason for that is pretty simple. They needed to stretch the suspension out for longer travel, but what they've done is they've actually given you a pre-runner style of a front end, the front fenders and also the bedside. So as I step to the side, you'll notice that it does actually stick out compared to the FX4. Some other things that you need to notice is that the Raptor actually has these LED markers on either side and along the bedsides of the truck, and that is to make sure that the vehicle stays 50 state legal because it's so much wider. As we come to the inside of the F-150, let's start with the back first. From the back, you'll notice that both of the vehicles have the load flat floor. So you're going to have the exact same dimensions on the inside of the truck, but what you'll notice is that the leather seating surfaces are slightly different. You do have the leather right here with your cloth, almost kind of like a mesh cloth, that is a little bit different from the FX4. Both vehicles will feature your AC 110 volt plug, which allows you to plug in a laptop or a hair dryer if you want to, whatever you want. And you also have your normal 12 volt plug where you can plug in any kind of a car charger and that kind of a thing. Where you'll really notice the difference between the FX4 and the Raptor is definitely in the front seat. You'll notice that the front seats are definitely much more sporty. They have a whole lot more bolster on the sides of the vehicle to hold you in as you're taking those high-speed desert turns. You'll also notice that the center console is just about the same. You might have some trim and fit and finish differences, but you'll also notice that the F-150, the Raptor, actually has a hill descent control and also the auxiliary switches, which allow you to plug up extra accessories, whether you wanted to do some LED lightings, maybe a winch or two. You have the ability to wire those directly into those switches that you see right here. The main fundamental functions of the Raptor is going to be almost identical to that of the FX4, like the four-wheel drive system, where you turn it to high and four-wheel low, and then pull it out to lock in the rear differential. You also happen to have in both vehicles the trailer brake controller with your gain right there. Both vehicles happen to include this LCD screen right here. Now, the Raptor does have a different instrument cluster. As you can see, the SVT badging on the instrument cluster. It is a little slightly different than that of the FX4, but the fundamental functions of this LCD screen are going to be identical. Now, one thing that is nice about the Raptor is you can actually go into the track apps and you can see your front view camera information. You can see if it's on or if it's disabled. You can see whether the off-road mode, lots of different things. In conclusion, both vehicles are very capable, and we'd like to know, which one do you like better? Is the price difference on the FX4 enough to make you go with that vehicle versus the F-150 SVT? Comment below and let us know what you think. Also, if you happen to have any questions about both of these vehicles, ask us. We'd love to help you answer those in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.